Alright, so next we're going to add a button in order to be able to turn on the light from anywhere in the house that has a Wi-Fi enabled device such as a laptop or a phone. That way we don't have to use the command line to type numbers in. So on our Pi in our root directory here, assuming you have Apache installed, if you go to var and then www and then HTML, you have a folder that everything that goes in here will be available online at this IP address. So if I go to 10.02.45 on here, I just get the contents of this folder, which there's nothing in here. So if I go ahead and create an HTML file, and then I open this with my code editor. If you're not familiar, index.html is the default file that will be opened inside of an Apache folder. So we're just going to go ahead and create a new HTML file, and we'll call it remote button or whatever you want, and then we'll just do this. So if I just put a little hi right there, I come here and refresh the page, we now have hi on this website. So all we're going to do here is put a button here so that we can go to this IP address from any device on our home Wi-Fi and turn it on and off our light or switch the relay or whatever's connected to it. So I'm going to make a container element to group things together, and then I'm going to put a button in there, and I'll just make the button say on for now, but we'll change that later. So now I have a button that says on, and it doesn't do anything, but it's there. So let's go ahead and add some styles to it. So I'll create a new style sheet, and I'll open my style sheet with VS Code. Perfect. And I'm going to reference the style sheet up here. So link to style sheet, and it's called style.css. So there we go. So I've included the style sheet. So now if I just say body background is red, this page should now have a red background. Cool. So everything's working. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of the margin and padding on the body. Perfect. So what we're going to do is go ahead and style our sheet up. So we can add a little note here. You can just say press button to toggle device power. There we go. So now if I come here, I'll just center the text. Great. And then let's go ahead and make this container fit right. So we want it to be the full width of the viewer. We'll make it the full height. Let's give it some padding on the top, but not on the left and right. And we're going to display flex so the things inside of it are just nice and centered. And we will align items in the center. Perfect. And then the button inside of here, let's just make it 95%. The size here, height 3 of our default text size. We'll center it by doing margin auto, and we'll display it as a block element. And then we'll give it a little rounding on the edges. So there we go. There's that. So if I don't want this side by side, all I need to do is take this H1 element outside of our flex container. There we go. So now everything's nice and centered, blah, blah, blah. If I'm on a desktop, that button's a little big, but if I'm on mobile, it's nice that it fits it. So I'm just going to come over here and do a media query. So at media screen, and if the width is bigger than, let's say, 900 pixels or so, we'll just say that this button has a max width of who knows, 500 pixels. There we go. So now on the big screen it has 500 pixels, but on the smaller device it takes up the whole screen. Great. So now all we're going to do is create a class for when the button's on and when the button is off. So if I go ahead and, for testing purposes, just put this as on. There we go. And we'll just say we're going to actually copy Bootstrap's color scheme here. So we'll make the text white. We'll make the background here, I think it's 28A745, and the border is going to be 28A745 also. Let's go ahead and make the border a little darker. So RG. Do that. There we go. So it makes it lighter, but that's fine. Just give something different. Anyway, so here's the button. Let's go ahead and add some style so when we hover over it we get some feedback. So container button hover. Let's change the cursor to a pointer. So now when we hover over it, see how our cursor changes, and then let's add a box shadow to it. And we'll just make that black. So now when we come here and hover over it, there we go, we get some good feedback. Awesome. So button off is going to also be color white, and then the background we're going to use the Bootstrap red just because it looks nice, and we'll do DC3545, and then border is going to be 2 pixels solid DC350. Just do that. Perfect. So if I come here and I change this class to off, now it's red. But we want this on and off to change also. So I'm going to actually delete the inside of this button. So now that's gone. And I'm going to add this CSS pseudo element here to just say what we want. And then when it's off, we want this to just have off. And we'll go ahead and capitalize those so they look nice. Perfect. So now the class puts on in there, and when I change this class to off, it turns off. So let's just add some JavaScript here so that when we click it, it actually changes. So I'm just going to make a new JavaScript file. We'll call this button.js. I'll open the JavaScript file, and I'll come down here and I will just connect it in here. So the source is just button.js, and if I come here I can make sure it's hooked up by just saying hi, come here, and hi. Perfect. So that's connected. So there's only one button on our page, so we'll call this and we'll search the document and get the only button. And then we're going to add an event listener to the button. So whenever the button is clicked, we're going to call this button, or we'll call it a click handler, which is a function we're going to make. So function click handler. Perfect. So now whenever the button's clicked, this function is called. Click, click. Awesome. So what we want to do is we just want to basically take the class and change it when it's clicked. So this class name is going to equal, and then if the class name is on, we want to turn it off. Otherwise, we're just going to turn it back on. Pretty simple. Now I come here, and now whenever I click the button, it will change from on to off. So there we go. We've built, the very basic visualization of the button, and in the next video we're going to actually connect it to the back end of our program.